Hi guys, this is going to be a video about the Pandaean Arcane Mage playstyle and spells and what the spells look like and general ideas of how Arcane is going to be played. So for a start, I'll show you the things that you get with Arcane. So you get Arcane Blast. It pretty much behaves the same as what it is just now. It's going to cost more per stack and do more damage per stack. It's your main filler spell. You get these charges. Arcane Blast generates a charge, Missiles generates a charge, and Barrage gets rid of the charges. Arcane Blast and Arcane Missiles and Barrage, all their damage is increased per stack, and Arcane Barrage hits additional targets per charge. So if you've got 4 charges, Arcane Barrage will hit 4 targets, and if you've got 3 it will hit 3, and if you've only got 1 it will hit 1. So Arcane Barrage becomes a bit of a cleave spell, and I guess that's gonna alter rotations a lot, because yeah, that's gonna alter rotations a lot depending on how many cleave targets there is to hit. Arcane Barrage, it's the same, you know. Arcane Missiles, it's free. Arcane Barrage is low mana cost, and the cooldown's irrelevant. The cooldown's never going to bother you. They should probably just remove it, it's kind of pointless. Arcane Missiles, it's got the highest damage of all the spells. So Arcane Missiles is the one that you're always going to want to hit. And particularly when you get to 4 stacks, because 4 stacks is going to cost you a lot of mana to cast anything, you kind of want to try and get 4 stacks and have 2 stacks of Arcane Missiles, which by the way is new. You can actually have 2 procs of Arcane Missiles. So if I start casting a few times here, I should get procs pretty quick. So there's 1 proc of Arcane Missiles, and there's a second. So I can now do Arcane Missiles, Arcane Missiles. So yeah, you're going to kind of want to get to like 4 stacks of this, and then use these 2 4-stacked Arcane Missile procs to do a lot of damage, and then wipe the stack with Arcane Barrage. That would be if you were planning on doing a conserve phase, I guess. Slow, usual stuff. Arcane Power, I don't ignore that cooldown because it's actually a bit funny. There you go, 1.5 minute cooldown, brilliant. And Mana Depth, same mastery stuff as always. Now, at the moment, currently, Arcane Missiles procs off of all, or has a chance to proc off every harmful spell. But the way that Blizzard classes spells as harmful is a bit weird, because slow counts. So like if I wrong button. If I spam slow on this target, I will get Arcane Missiles procs. So there's 1. Don't worry about the mirror images, it's not them giving me the procs, it is actually slow. So Counterspell does it as well. The way you can test it is this trinket also says the same thing. Your harmful spells grant you intellect. So anything that will give you a stack of that trinket will also proc Arcane Missiles. So if I'll remove the stacks. If I spam slow again here without mirror image, there you go, there's 1, there's 2. See if I get lucky with a counterspell. No, but counterspell does it as well. So this is an interesting interaction, because there's this glyph of slow. So every time you do Arcane Blast, it will apply the slow debuff. Now that means you are essentially casting Arcane Blast and slow in one spell. So every time, if you've got that glyph, every time you cast Arcane Blast, you have double the chance to proc Arcane Missiles. And since Arcane Missiles is your top damage spell, that glyph becomes mandatory. So there is no way, unless Blizzard change it, that glyph will not be taken as an Arcane Mage. So all the things that Blizzard have said about they're wanting to lose mandatory things, mandatory talents, mandatory glyphs, mandatory spec, this one is now a problem area, so I expect it to be fixed or removed or something done to it. But anyway, that's the bottom line of the slow and the spells and things. So to kind of show you this won't be the exact rotation because things are going to change a lot with mana. So what you're kind of doing is you're kind of going up to 4 stacks, then blowing off your arcane missiles procs, and then resetting your stacks with barrage, and then away you go again. Start doing arcane blast. If you get 2 stacks of arcane missiles beforehand, just throw one out there, and then just keep using your arcane missiles at 4 stacks, then throw off your barrage. A cool thing that it's kind of useful to know is if you get to 4 stacks, you've got your 2 arcane missiles, you throw out an arcane missile, throw out your other arcane missile, and if you've got the timing right, then you can throw up a living bomb or your whatever bomb spell you've got, and if you're lucky, that will then proc arcane missiles. So you get 3 arcane missiles on your 4 stack before you'd have to reset. So that's going to be like the best possible scenario you could ever have. That's going to be a lot of damage. A few changes cooldown wise is you've only got arcane power, that's it. Mana gem no longer gives you a buff. If I use mana gem here, nothing, no buff, I just get mana. So that's kind of different. So arcane is less about cooldowns. So since there's less cooldowns, I guess there's less problems with burstiness. I'll cover glyphs. There's a few glyphs that interact with arcane in interesting ways, but I'll cover them in another video about glyphs. So yeah, whilst you're doing this rotation I kind of showed, you're always going to be trying to keep up your whatever bomb you've picked. So that's kind of it. It's definitely a way more interesting rotation than on live just now. I mean, you've got 4 spells that you're rotating with on beta as opposed to 1 pretty much on live. So I'll cover a bit of mana regen because mana regen is obviously important as arcane. Your combat mana regen is based on your haste, and it's not a small amount anymore. As you can see, my combat regen is almost 6,000. So when I'm in combat attacking stuff, I'm gaining about 6,000 mana every 5 seconds. It's not a trivial amount, it's a lot. And that becomes important when you start thinking about the top tier talents. I know there's people theory crafting and thinking about them and how they're going to interact. And I think a lot of people don't realise that there's this combat regen. As you can see, it's gone up to 7,000. I've procced a trinket. So, you know, your combat regen depends on haste, and it's going to be obviously really important for arcane. But that's pretty much it. That's kind of arcane in a nutshell. Very simple to explain and a lot more interesting than live. So hopefully they fix that glyph problem, and then arcane will be good to go. So thanks for listening, and there'll be some more videos up for Frost, and there's one up already for Fire, and there'll be some for other stuff as well. So thanks for listening, guys.